The Chancellor has been accused by the Conservatives of lying to the public over the financial black hole she said she needed to fill in the budget. Ahead of Wednesday's speech, there were warnings that Rachel Reeves had to find tens of billions of pounds to balance the government's books. But today, the Office for Budget Responsibility, the independent body which provides economic forecasts and analysis of the public finances, said the Chancellor knew from the beginning of October that the gap was actually much smaller at £2.5 billion, and that by the end of the month, the gap had closed altogether and stood at a surplus of £4.2 billion. Well, our political editor, Robert Peston, is here. Robert, it's just one thing after another with this budget, isn't it? How serious is this for the Chancellor?
Well, in terms of confidence in the budget-making process, it's very serious. I mean, genuinely, I've been covering budgets for something like 35 years. I've never experienced anything even remotely as chaotic as this. And never before has the Office for Budget Responsibility felt.
It started with shop owners begging for mercy before the autumn budget, then descended into economic carnage so devastating that even Labour's own supporters cannot defend what Rachel Reeves has done. Earlier this year, I spoke to British retailers who wondered with genuine anxiety whether they could survive what was coming. They feared tax increases combined with falling incomes and fewer customers would finish them off, and they were absolutely correct. Because now, just months after her calamitous budget, thousands of jobs are being lost, businesses are closing their doors permanently, and the high street that was already on life support has been dealt a death blow by a Chancellor who either does not understand basic economics or simply does not care. This is not hyperbole. The numbers prove it. Payrolled employees are nosediving as businesses can no longer absorb the costs imposed upon them. And the most sickening part, Labour promised explicitly not to increase taxes on working people, then did exactly that through bureaucratic sleight of hand, while pretending their manifesto commitment still stands. Quick favour, if you are finding this vital coverage essential, smash that subscribe button immediately. Shockingly, over 97% of viewers have not subscribed yet. It costs nothing, takes just 2 seconds, and helps us keep exposing the economic destruction this government is causing. Already subscribed? You are brilliant. Now let us dive into the High Street massacre that proves Rachel Reeves has no idea what she is doing. Picture this, a shopkeeper in Chatham operating on razor-thin margins, already struggling with soaring rents, rampant shoplifting, and customers who have less money to spend every month. He tells me he cannot afford to increase prices because his customers are broke. He cannot afford to cut wages because he is already paying the minimum. His only options are laying off staff or closing altogether. And then Rachel Reeves delivers her budget, a triple whammy so brutal that even the most sadistic bean counter would wince. First, she slams up national insurance contributions for employers. Second, she guts business rate relief that was keeping marginal businesses alive. Third, she hikes the minimum wage while companies are still reeling from measures 1 and 2. Each of these measures, taken individually, might have been manageable. Small businesses could have absorbed one hit, adjusted their operations, found efficiencies, but combined, they are lethal. This is not tax policy. This is economic homicide, because Reeves has created a perfect storm where businesses face higher costs from national insurance, higher costs from losing rate relief, and higher costs from minimum wage increases, all at the same time. There is no room to maneuver, no way to adjust, just a choice between firing workers or going under. and the high street was already on life support before Reeves delivered this killing blow. Years of unfettered online competition destroying foot traffic, soaring commercial rents that landlords refuse to reduce, rampant shoplifting that police have essentially decriminalized by refusing to investigate thefts under a certain value, the pandemic that changed shopping habits permanently and pushed marginal businesses over the edge. The high street has been dying slowly for years, and Rachel Reeves just administered the lethal injection. Retailers are warning that thousands of jobs will be lost, and that's on top of the ones her tax hikes have already sent to the dole queue. These are not theoretical projections or worst-case scenarios. These are real businesses making real decisions right now. Redundancy notices being issued, stores being shuttered, high street vacancies that will never be filled because nobody wants to open a business in an environment where the government sees you as a cash machine to be milked until you collapse. The data proves what shop owners already know. Payrolled employees nosediving as businesses simply cannot bear to absorb these costs anymore. When national insurance goes up, when business rates relief disappears, when the minimum wage increases, businesses have three options. They can absorb the costs and destroy their own profitability until they go bankrupt. They can increase prices and lose customers who are already stretched, or they can cut staff. Most choose the third option because it's the only way to survive, and Rachel Reeves knew this would happen. The Office for Budget Responsibility told her this would happen. She did it anyway. But the most torrid betrayal is how Labour got away with this while claiming they kept their manifesto promises. They pledged repeatedly and explicitly during the election campaign not to increase taxes on working people. The manifesto was crystal clear. Labour will not increase taxes on working people, which is why we will not increase national insurance, the basic, higher or additional rates of income tax, or VAT. Those words are in black and white. They cannot be denied or explained away. That was the promise. But you see, they increased employers' national insurance, not employees. Clever lot, that Labour bunch. You can tell their boss is a lawyer. Except the Office for Budget Responsibility has calculated that a substantial chunk of that cost will be handed down to workers through lower wages, so working people are paying for it anyway, just with a bit more bureaucratic sleight of hand this time around. Wages that would have increased do not. Bonuses that would have been paid are cancelled. Jobs that would have been created disappear. That's the real cost of employers' national insurance increases, and it falls directly on working people. But Labour can stand at the dispense box and claim with straight faces that they kept their manifesto commitment, because technically they did not increase the employee rate. This is the kind of legalistic parsing that makes people hate politicians, taking a clear promise not to increase taxes on working people and finding a loophole that allows you to do exactly that while claiming you did not. It's dishonest, it's cynical, and it proves that Labour values word games over substance, clever drafting over honest dealing. The shopkeeper I spoke to in Chatham cannot afford to slam up his prices. His customers already have little to spare. They are dealing with their own cost of living pressures, their own stagnant wages, their own financial anxiety. If he increases prices to cover his increased costs, they will shop elsewhere or stop buying altogether. He cannot afford to cut wages because he is already paying the minimum. His only options are laying off staff or closing altogether. That's not a business decision. That's a forced choice created by government policy that makes continuing to operate economically impossible. Multiply that conversation by thousands of high streets up and down the country, and you begin to understand the scale of what Rachel Reeves has done. This is not just one shopkeeper in Chatham facing these choices. It's independent retailers across Britain, all facing the same impossible calculation, all looking at their spreadsheets and realizing that the numbers no longer work, all making the heartbreaking decision to let employees go or shut their doors permanently. She has not just broken a manifesto promise, she has broken the back of small business Britain. And then, in a move so tone-deaf it would be funny if it weren't tragic, the government announces the Pride of Place programme, £5 billion of taxpayer money to fund high streets, parks and public spaces. Hundreds of locations will receive grants to tackle littering, graffiti or build a new sports field. Let's be absolutely clear about what this is. A sticking plaster applied to a gaping wound that she herself inflicted. It's like burning down someone's house and then handing them a tin of paint to make the rubble look prettier. The Pride of Place Fund might help a few councils plant some flowers or repaint a bench, but it's chicken feed compared to the economic ruin being wrought by her tax rises. You can't tax businesses into oblivion and then expect a bit of public spending on cosmetic improvements to revive the high street. That's not how economics works. Businesses need customers with money to spend. They need manageable operating costs. They need a tax environment that doesn't punish them for existing. Grants for graffiti removal don't address any of that. This is the fundamental problem with Labour's approach to governing. They believe in handouts, not hand-ups. They would rather tax businesses into oblivion and then sprinkle a bit of public money about to make themselves feel better, than create an environment in which businesses can actually thrive. Because creating that environment would require restraint. It would require accepting that government can't tax and spend its way to prosperity. It would require understanding that businesses are not bottomless wells of revenue, but fragile entities operating on tight margins in competitive markets. But Rachel Reeves doesn't understand that, or she doesn't care, because her entire economic philosophy is built on the idea that businesses, especially employers, are undertaxed, and that extracting more from them is both morally just and economically neutral. Except it's not economically neutral. Every pound taken in national insurance is a pound that cannot be spent on wages, investment or expansion. Every business